Hello. Hello and a warm welcome to everyone. I'm just going to check that if I'm audible. Great. So a very, very warm welcome. Good afternoon to all our excellencies, our distinguished delegates, and honored colleagues, and everybody who is watching us online around the globe or here in person at Qatar National Convention Center, QNCC in Doha, especially in room number 5, hall number 5, my apologies, and in room number 7. It's a distinct honor to welcome all of you here to our solution session, Shift in Consciousness, Cultivating the Inner Capacity for Global Social Progress. This session is framed as an innovative and a scalable solution designed to bridge the gap in the global efforts. We often pour billions of dollars and rally our best minds behind ambitions, goals. Yet true, positive change remains exclusive. Why? Because we must address the inner capacity of the actors driving that change. This focus directly supports the summit's aim by strengthening solidarity, social inclusion, and social cohesion that starts from within. We have the resources, we have goals. The critical question for us today is, are we ready to try the necessary shift, a fundamental shift in consciousness, to finally unlock the progress the world urgently needs? To guide us through this essential journey of exploration and practical application, I would like you to join me to welcome our moderator, who brings a powerful combination of innovation, impact, and entrepreneurial thinking to this vital discussion. Join me to warmly invite Bhanu Prasad, our moderator, who serves as a global impact, who serves as a coach for impact innovation and entrepreneurship at Digital Impact Square with Tata Group. Bhanu, thank you for leading us forward, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Hello, can you all hear me? Can I get a confirmation? Great. Thank you so much. How are you all doing? It's great, wonderful to welcome all of you from this lovely city of Doha, Qatar, and at the world. Thank you, thank you. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs ups. Great. Keep them coming. Use the reactions. We want to make this as lively and engaging as possible. And we have an exciting panel discussion lined up today. And what we really enjoy about this year's panel discussion is it is under this theme called Solution Sessions. Basically, it is an opportunity for having solutions come out of this World Summit from practitioners, from experts like all of you, so that we could actually put them towards addressing all the gaps that are there and accelerate the progress towards sustainable development goals. Now, one of the things that as practitioners working in the field of social development, we understand is many of us operate from a sense of service. We operate out of a sense of purpose that we would actually like to bring about a positive change in the world around us. Now, when we get on the field, it's not always very easy to operate, right? There are quite a few challenges. There are sometimes challenges coming from the environment around us. That is, they have reduced budgets, they have constrained time, they have constrained resources, a lot of these challenges that do come up. And it is usually the change makers, people like us who are on the field, who have to make these decisions, who have to make these actions matter as we bring about the change in the world. So at the Brahma Kumaris, the word spiritual university, we have sort of distilled this understanding by saying that we have to develop our own inner capacity before we actually make a change outward. And for us to be able to make this change inside us, we are actually exploring what kind of consciousness shifts that need to happen inside of us so that these capacities are enabled for everyone outside. Now, this solution session specifically is focusing on how we can get these shift in consciousness as a solution that we will be able to present to the world around us. The opportunity that we have in front of us is to hear from a very diverse and a very interesting panel that is going to join us today. First of all, I would like our team to actually pull up the presentation so that we can know who is on the panel today. We are honored to have Honorable Dr. Ashti Singh, who is a Senior Minister of Finance, Cooperative Republic of Guyana. He is personally being selected, handpicked to represent the President, Honorable President of Guyana at the World Summit. And we are very honored to have you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are also aware that today we have your parliament is starting today. It's in fact the first day of the parliament, and you still have made the time to join us. So we are really, really grateful for you to making the time here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure and privilege to be able to join.
Sure. We also have His Excellency, Honorable Ambassador of India to Qatar, Mr. Vipul, who has joined us today. Thank you very much, sir, for being here and giving us your valuable insights. We'll hear from Vipulji as a keynote speaker and share with us about the experiences of building world-class change and then becoming a role model for the rest of the world. We also have Sister Gayatri Narayan, who is the main representative of the Brahma Kumaris to the United Nations. As a practitioner, as a wealth of experience in consciousness and how we could bring about outer transformation through inner change. The next, we also have Gillian D'Souza, who is from the Red Dot Foundation and as a principal NGO representative to the United Nations. She is also the chair of the NGO Committee for Social Development. She is, as we speak, she is on another panel discussion, and she will be joining us in a few minutes. Then we also have Dr. Anna Sutton, who is a senior lecturer in psychology, University of Waikato. Dr. Anna Sutton has a specialization in working with self-awareness, resilience, well-being of individuals and organizations. We would hear from her and her experience. So this is a wonderful panel that all of us have. So the way this panel is going to work is we have an opening statement from each of our panelists, and then we'll have a set of questions that we would like to ask all of them. As part of the opening statement that we request all our esteemed panelists to make, we request to start with the Honorable Minister, Dr. Ashwini Singh, to join first. We understand that your parliament is starting today. Could you start with a quick few words? And also, sir, while you're covering this, we would request you to answer this particular question. In fact, all our panelists, while they're starting their opening remarks, along with your opening remarks, if you could cover this particular question. This is what I had said in the context of when we're looking at transformational work, either it's at an individual level, at our organizations, or at a country level, we see that individuals operate out of a spirit of service or sometimes a benevolent purpose. We would like to understand from you, as you go about doing your work, as you go about your life, what is the self-awareness or a consciousness practice that you adopt yourself that has helped you navigate work? Because all of you are in senior positions, you have a lot of responsibilities to take care of countries, to take care of your departments. How would you navigate? What kind of practices do you do yourself? As this is a solution session, we are hoping that all of our experiences actually go out to the rest of the world. As we speak, we have over 50 participants right now listening to all of us, and this will go out to the rest of the world. So thank you very much, Dr. Ashwini Singh. Looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you very much for inviting me, indeed for inviting my president, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, to join you at this very important event on the margins of the World Summit. And as you indicated in your introductory remarks, President Ali has asked me, he's unavoidably unable to join you this morning, but he has asked me to represent him. And so it is my great honor to join you and all other esteemed panelists and our distinguished audience at this very important discussion. I want to start by making the point that if there's anything that we have learned from global developments over the decades, and in particular global developments in recent years, it is the oneness of the world, the integration and oneness of the world in which we live. The fact that Increasingly, we are an interconnected world, and increasingly we are affected in one corner of the world by events in another, in the opposite corner of the world. And we have seen this manifest itself in so many ways. We've seen this manifest itself in the challenges of climate change. We have seen it manifest itself in public health challenges. In fact, I often cite the example of the COVID-19 pandemic as a recent and very striking example of an occurrence that started in one part of the world and in no time at all spread around the world and affected every single human being wherever they live, in which corner of the world. Climate change, of course, is another important example where actions and behaviors in literally one continent affect the lives of others in every other continent around the world. And so the point that I wish to make is that more than any other lesson that we have learned over the decades, and particularly over recent years, is the lesson of the interconnectedness of the world in which we live and the increasing interconnectedness of the world in which we live. The interdependencies that we face as peoples around the world and as individuals interacting with each other. And the fact that that now requires a different mode of behavior and a different approach to confronting the pressing challenges of the world and the pressing challenges of our respective countries. And so the position that we have taken in Guyana in a very conscious way is that we must be mindful of not only the implications of what we do for the rest of the world, but we must also be mindful of the role that we can play in contributing to confronting and overcoming some of the big pressing challenges that are faced by the global community. I will revert to the example of climate change in this regard. And so we recognize that the onset of climate change is steady and it affects every single person around the world. And so we have developed a particular approach. We have developed a low carbon development strategy that harnesses our standing forests to ensure that we make a contribution, a substantial and tangible contribution to the fight against climate change. And we do this in every other way that we possibly can. The Guyanese economy is going through a significant transformation currently. The economy is growing rapidly, and the structure of the economy is changing with new opportunities arising for new sectors of investment, new types of work, new skills are being demanded. And one of the points that our president feels extremely passionately about is the fact that we must ensure that everything that we do is aimed at realizing inclusive development, that every single Guyanese person is included in the transformation that is taking place in our country, is able to participate in it, is able to contribute to it, and indeed is able to benefit from it. And so President Ali has adopted as the special theme and philosophy of his presidency, the theme of One Guyana, serving to emphasize that we are one Guyana, irrespective of where we live, irrespective of where our ancestors may come from, irrespective of how we worship, irrespective of the professions that we might practice. And this is important because Guyana is, of course, a very diverse, almost a uniquely diverse country. People who have come from several parts of the world to make Guyana their home. And so President Ali's presidency is committed to realizing this objective of oneness, as is captured by the theme and philosophy of One Guyana that the president has adopted. Now, of course, when you speak of oneness as a world, or interconnectedness or oneness of the world, when you speak of oneness as a country or the interconnectedness of the peoples within this one Guyana of which we speak, it is inevitable that as individuals, we must also act differently. This requires, of course, not only the historic self-centered and more narrow and indeed more short-term and indeed less sustainable, more unsustainable approach that historically, particularly in recent times, society has been characterized by. But if you adopt the philosophy, as we have done in Guyana, the philosophy of oneness of peoples and oneness of countries, then it requires us to assume a greater consciousness of the consequences of our actions for the rest of the world, and a greater consciousness of the implications of our actions for other people. And we do that as a country, and we implore and we encourage people to do that as individuals as well, to appreciate how interconnected they are and how important it is that they internalize objectives that transcend narrow individual objectives or narrow materialistic objectives, but instead recognize how important it is to adopt behaviors that serve the greater cause, and in serving the greater cause also serves the individual cause, given the oneness to which I refer. You asked a question about an individual practice. I wouldn't necessarily, given that I'm speaking on behalf of the president, focus on an individual action or thing that I do. But I want instead to highlight in particular something that we are doing as a country, and on behalf of my president, to highlight a philosophy that he has adopted, and that is the philosophy of one Guyana. That is, we are one country comprising many peoples of many backgrounds, and our destiny as a country is one that is a singular one, and therefore our destinies as individuals are inextricably tied to each other. And as a consequence, we have an obligation in all of our actions to be mindful of the implications of these actions for others. And so the one thing that I would wish to highlight is this philosophy of one Guyana that we've adopted in our own country. But I commend you for taking this extremely important initiative. I commend you for the program that has been launched on the shift in consciousness, and in particular, I've read the literature revolving around soul, instrument, and trustee consciousness, and I commend you for taking this important initiative. And I, in particular, want to emphasize that in all that we do as individuals and as countries, we be more mindful, we be less preoccupied about implications for ourselves and more mindful of implications and consequences for others, given how inextricably intertwined and interrelated and interdependent we are as individuals and as countries within this global family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, Honorable Minister. We have received with thanks the very, very succinct and very clear message, I think, as an essence that can go not just to us, but hopefully in the summit as well. We understand how the situations around the world are actually compelling us to work differently now. It's actually the situations that we are more interconnected, and the world needs to be more inclusive. It calls for a different operating model in which human beings interact with each other. We need to shun short-term thinking and actually get more collaborative, be more open, and not just oneness within individual interactions, but oneness as a country. I think this is something that we all aspire to do. And we actually thank you very much again for joining us and giving us this opening remarks and setting the tone for how we could actually go about doing this at a large scale. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I request now, Your Excellency, Vipulji, to make your opening remarks. We look forward to hearing from Ambassador of India to Qatar, Mr. Vipul. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, His Excellency, the Honorable Minister from Guyana, all the other dignitaries, brothers, sisters from Brahma Kumari movement. It is truly a great honor for me to speak on this panel discussing how we can use inner development for global social progress. And I would like to thank the Brahma Kumaris movement, Raj Yoga Center, for inviting me to speak this panel, which is happening on the sidelines of the second World Summit for Social Development. As an Indian, I got to know, of course, about the work of Brahma Kumaris movement since childhood. But I have got to learn more about the movement over the past decade with my introduction to the brothers and sisters of the movement. And I'm very happy to note and admire the work of the Brahma Kumaris in serving all sections of the society by promoting spiritual upliftment, which is related to inner peace and development of inner self, and taking concrete initiatives on several issues, whether it be on the social side, environment side, education or health. Just to go back, I was also very fortunate to meet Sister Janaki when she was passing by one of the times when I was in Dubai. She was a great leader of the Brahma Kumaris, and I've also attended various discourses by some of the top speakers of the movement, like Sister Shivani, and these interactions with Brahma Kumaris have really enriched me as a person. There can be many lessons that I can talk about that I have learned from these discourses and from the practices which are promoted by Brahma Kumaris. But I think that will delay the whole thing, so I would not get into those details. But I think going back to the main event on the sidelines of which we are meeting today, the World Summit for Social Development in Copenhagen in 1995, and onwards to the global dialogues which have happened over the past 3 decades. They have repeatedly emphasized human well-being, social inclusion, sustainable progress. Of course, the United Nations adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, and we and other countries have been working on these goals and have made significant progress on sustainable development. But I think it's also true, especially given our Indian civilizational ethos, that we see development not merely as economic growth or development of technology or development of infrastructure, but we have always talked about, as Indians, about values, consciousness, and about the quality of human relationships. I think one slogan that very aptly captures it is what we have been speaking about, which is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family. I think Honorable Minister from Guyana also spoke about it when he spoke about oneness. But I think if we consider each other as one family, and this was also the motto that drove our G20 presidency, I think if we consider the whole world as one family, problems automatically get solved. As one family, we support each other, and as one family, we also promote our own inner developments, which is what a parent would like his kids to do, to become better persons. And I think that, in one sense, resolves the whole issue. But at a time when our world is striving to address poverty, inequality, and conflict, the question that we must ask ourselves is whether there can be outer peace without inner peace, and whether we can actually achieve social transformation across the world without self-transformation. I think the answer is fairly obvious. And if we consider again the learnings that we Indians have always been hearing about, we can actually remind ourselves of Gandhiji's words when he said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." I think that encapsulates everything, that if we cannot change ourselves, we cannot change the world. That is really important. And his emphasis on truth, non-violence, self-discipline, practices like fasting, purity of thought. These were all aimed to develop inner selves for building a just society. And as Indians, as Indian children, when I was small, I think all these drove us to really look at how we can contribute to the society by becoming better persons. Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi also took the initiative for UN to declare June 21 as International Day of Yoga, and that is for promoting holistic health. He has also often reminded us that yoga and meditation are pathways to better leadership, social harmony and development, and as calm minds to create caring societies. I also feel that movements like Raj Yoga Center and others in India, which focus on meditation and simplicity of life, also most beautifully connect the inner and outer dimensions of progress. In fact, Brahmakumaris have also long reminded the world that when we change, the world changes. I think that is very important. The Brahmakumari's philosophy of Raj Yoga meditation also empowers individuals to practice positive engagement with the world by concentrating on peace, purity, and self-awareness. And I think if more and more individuals can learn from these practices and can it in a peace, it will radiate as social harmony. And I myself, the question that you posed, one of the things that I try and do is to be empathetic and to be open in my job as a diplomat. Of course, I have worked quite a bit in the Gulf countries where we have a large number of Indians living in this part of the world. Many of them depend on our consulates, our embassies for services. I think it's very important for us to give patient listening, patient hearing to anyone that approaches us. And many a times I keep telling people that they would approach our embassies or consulates when a number of times when they are in some kind of a trouble or when they need a service. And I think we need to be full of empathy and openness for delivering better services to our people. So of course, the Second World Summit for Social Development is beginning tomorrow here in Doha. And the aims of the summit are to accelerate action on poverty eradication, promotion of full employment and decent work, social inclusion, and to ensure that no one is left behind in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. I feel that in achieving these noble objectives of the summit, there is special relevance for looking at the inner self as an instrument of wider social change. A peaceful world would require peaceful minds and just hearts, simple living, and elevated thinking. I think the work of Brahmakumaris and Raj Yoga Center are a good example of how we can achieve this transformation in our inner self so that we can build a better world. Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those remarks and those experiences that you have shared with so much passion and pride of what the philosophies and the ancient wisdom have taught us. Actually, the one family and oneness that we have heard so far, I think, is a recurring theme and is something that's inspiring. World transformation through self-transformation and understanding that we are part of a larger family, and the consciousness of being part of this family actually could be a solution to many of our problems. Being the change that we wish to see in others, actually looking inward. I think all of these things are some things that we would aspire to do. We are also grateful to hear these comments from you, and we look forward to you answering some more questions for us. I now invite Sister Gayatri, who is the main representative of the Brahma Kumaris to the United Nations, to share her opening remarks.
Good morning to Minister Singh and Ambassador Vipul. And I just want a clarification from you. Is it that I'm presenting for 3 minutes?
The opening remarks you could do for 3 minutes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let me say that it was my honor to be in Copenhagen in 1995 and to be part of that first World Social Development Summit. And at that summit, the word values became a very popular word. And I'm noticing 2025, oneness, one world family, shift in consciousness, these words are beginning to surface in a very meaningful way because I feel that we're moving to the depths of values and not just scaling the surface of it. So in response to your question to me about personal self-awareness practice, I have been the representative of the Brahma Kumaris to the United Nations for quite a while now. And I've watched a particular trajectory with great interest. And it is part of my personal practice, and it is part of the practice of the community of the Brahma Kumaris. And that practice is grounded in a consciousness that runs on a trajectory of awareness, attitude, vision or perception, and action. This spiritual trajectory is integrated into my personal life, but it's also integrated in the way we serve as an organization at the level of the Brahma Kumaris community throughout the world. We do not separate who we are from what we do. We align what we call our dharma with our karma. Now, you may be asking the question, well, what do you mean by dharma? And in this context, I use the word dharma in relation to global, to universal. And I mean by dharma that we recognize the truths of life. For instance, in the UN preamble of its charter, it states very clearly the United Nations exist not only to stop succeeding generations from the scourge of war, but to reaffirm faith in the dignity and worth of the human person. And then in the Declaration of Human Rights, there's another universal dharma or principle, and that is all human beings are born free and equal, endowed with reason and conscience. So this for me is very important when we as a BK community, and me in particular, I can talk for myself, is very aware of. It's almost embedded in the consciousness from which the awareness, the attitude, the perception or vision, and the actions we take. Because living in the attitude, I have seen what creates the biggest hurdles is what's living not so much in the awareness, but within the attitudes. And what is living there is perhaps unbiased, is unconscious biases, prejudices of the past, limitations of looking at the whole and just seeing it in silos, representing things that could maybe turn out to be productive to one side, but very destructive to the other. But as we heard from the comments today, if the world is one family and we are all members of that one world, then what would, if the productive is creating a destructive, then we know that something is in the attitude through which we're looking at the one family or the one world. So the impact that we have on actions that we do is that we place these universal truths at the center of the projects we engage in, such as this one that we are co-sponsoring today. And all the interactions, relationships are very important because cooperation and collaboration is at the level of relationships. And so at all interactions that we are involved with. And if you give me a minute to just take you through a little reflective practice that I would recommend that before any meeting, at the start of any meeting, at the start of we have a minute that we observe at the beginning of the General Assembly every September at the UN, that moment of silence. And I would like to introduce a little bit of a reflection that I would recommend for what takes place in that moment. And I call it connecting the points of light. So if we just for one moment of silence, just focus on this self-awareness practice. Light, my light, your light, our light, God's light, the world-filling light, the soul-kissing light, the heart-warming light, the inner light of an enlightened conscience. The light of life rises in abundance of love, joy, peace, and truth. With the being, with the becoming, with the breathing, with the belonging. Let us build our futures together with light, my light, your light, our light, God's light, the enlightened conscience, the world-filling light. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Gayatri, for both the content and the experience. Thank you for telling us about the spiritual trajectory, about how outcomes are not just going to happen, but they actually have a source, a seed in the awareness, the attitudes, the vision, and then actions that actually manifest from those seeds. Thank you very much for your inputs. And we are glad that you will stay back for our questions later. We'll move on to Jillian, who is on the panel now. Jillian, are you on the, yeah?
I am.
Yes, great. Jillian, thank you very much for joining. I know you're just coming off from another panel discussion yourself. Looking forward to hearing. Jillian is the chair of the NGO Commission as well, and she's with us under Red Dot Foundation as the UN representative. Welcome, Jillian, and we look forward to hearing your opening remarks before we jump into the panel discussion and the questions.
Thank you so much, Banu, and thank you everyone for having me. Also, thank you for your patience. It's been a busy running around day. And so part of what I take from you, and I begin with thinking about the shift in consciousness. I have had the pleasure of working alongside the Brahma Kumari's UN office, and I have learned so much from y'all, from all of y'all, not just about light, but also about peace and about centering meditation. And I think days like this or summits like this really bring into the center what it is that we really need to be doing to cultivate our inner capacity. And not only cultivating our inner capacity, but what can we give out to people? And so we have to be, I give my own example today. So to be as practical as possible that I can be. And so I prepared myself with patience. I reminded myself that everybody's excited. Everybody's also really busy. And so emotions are high. Sometimes tempers are high. So it's important for me to teach myself patience and recognize in other people what they are feeling. Because at the end of the day, if I look at the whole is about everybody being successful in what we are all trying to do here. The anxiety level is in the level of success. So what brings to me is centering myself individually and how am I contributing to the whole, but contributing to the whole in a positive manner, such that I don't cause stress to somebody else, but rather reduce their stress and they walk away feeling, I'm confident and I got this, and we can together do this.
Brilliant, so nicely put. And coming from this personal experience, I'm sure going from meeting to meeting, of actually looking at the whole, because we have what 14,000 people going to come here, and everybody is going through everything that they are going through. How can we look at the whole and look at all the emotions that they must be going through, and then see what we can give, right? How can we give this positivity to each one of us? How do we center ourselves? Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Anna Sutton to share her opening remarks. Dr. Anna Sutton, as I shared in the introductions, she's an expert in the field of psychology and has spent years researching self-awareness, well-being, and resilience. Looking forward to hear from you, Dr. Anna.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all of the keynote speakers so far. It's been really wonderful hearing your insights in this area. I come at this from a psychology angle, so I do research in the area of self-awareness and well-being at work. So I was very honored to be asked to join this panel and to work with the Brahma Kumaris about helping to evaluate this program that they're putting together to help to raise self-awareness and to teach people how to do that. Because in my own research, I found that if we can build self-awareness, it helps us personally to understand where we're coming from and how we interact with others. It also has this knock-on effect or flow-on effect that actually improves how we work with others. So it improves the way we communicate, how our teamwork goes, and then that has a flow-on effect for wider society as well. So it's, as everyone has been saying so far, it's about building our own awareness in order to improve things for everyone else around us. So that consciousness of the impact of our actions is something that people have been talking about so far. And that's really the core of what this program was about that we were evaluating and how it helps people to improve and make those changes in the world. So we found that if we can improve our own self-awareness, we can have this wider impact on the world. And the question that you asked at the beginning, Banu, about personal practices that we do, this is something that I've learned from my own research, which is that those small practices, they build up to make that big change. So for me personally, something very small is just taking a breath before responding if we're feeling stressed. Just that moment of calm can help bring us down and help us to respond to people in a more empathic and understanding way. And then that then helps to improve how we interact with them and then how we make the change in the world. So yeah, that's my personal way of putting this into practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anna, for that personal experience and something very simple that is so simple that sometimes is obvious and forgotten, to take a breath and then respond. And then when it comes from a psychologist, when it comes from a researcher, we just sit up and take notice. We would like to do it now because it's backed by science. Thank you so much for your input again. Now that we've heard the opening remarks from all our panelists, I have this request of actually asking each of our esteemed guests a question, and hopefully once we get an answer from them, follow it up with a second question as well, if we can squeeze in the time. I would request, I don't know if our Honorable Minister, Dr. Ashni Singh is here, still with us. I don't think he's there.
Yes.
Okay. Is he? Okay. Honorable Minister, are you still with us? Are you able to come on video? Okay. We are probably, let's move on. Your Excellency, Vipulji, we would like to hear from you. When we were actually working on the panel discussion, we learned about your own personal interest right from childhood in terms of how you were able to, or you had this vision of actually representing the country at some point. And now, if you were to look at having clarity right at that early age of what you want to do, my question is, how important is clarity for executing what you want to do? And to build on top of it is, once I have the clarity of the purpose, how do I navigate the complexities, especially somebody who's handling a large responsibility like yours? There must be so many complexities, so many challenges. How does the clarity and purpose and vision actually help you execute your day-to-day tasks?
Well, thank you very much. Coming from India, and I think you would be aware of how it can be very difficult to get into the foreign service in India, into the diplomatic service. So I won't say that I had this clarity of being a representative of the country abroad when I was a kid. But yes, my parents, my father especially, always inculcated this desire among us, the siblings, that we should be serving the nation in some capacity, essentially going into civil services by doing well in studies. And I think that is what I did. And it was much later that, of course, we said that, yes, if you are to serve the nation, serve the society, then one of the best ways of doing it is through the diplomatic service. And I must say that it has given me great opportunities to serve our country and to serve the people of India who are abroad. I think the clarity of purpose, in one sense, for this service to the community also comes from our own ethos, from our own culture. And I think, much as we get motivated by the life of people like Gandhiji, we also have a lot of literature that we have in our civilization. And I think one of the things that really motivates me is Gita. And in very simple terms, we Indians, we've always heard about the shloka in Gita, which talks about how we have to do service or dharma or our duty without thinking about its fruits. And in one sense, that conveys that we have to do selfless service and not think about what we will get as a result of that service. And I think being in government service, being in social service, that is a very, very important aspect. That's because with that, then we can serve the people in a much better manner without thinking about what are we getting in return. I am thankful that I've been able to serve in some of the countries as ambassador or as consul general. I was also, the head of office of our former foreign minister, Srimati Sushma Swaraj, who laid a lot of emphasis on helping out people. And she was quite a role model for all of us diplomats in the foreign service. So I think with that, a clarity of purpose also comes. And as diplomats, if we can serve the country well, if we can serve the world well, I think we will be able to make a positive contribution of building a better, more peaceful, prosperous world order. And that is what I have tried to do myself in whatever little way I can contribute, but especially to people of India who are living abroad. I think that becomes one of the main duties for me as a diplomat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for especially the grounding that I think actually may have sown the seeds of your outlook today to help others. It's not easy to get into the foreign service in India, and I'm sure there is a lot of personal transformation that has happened before this has resulted in such an impact that you are able to create now. Thank you very much. I invite Sister Gayatri now to help us understand. I heard this mentioned a couple of times during our panel discussion today about something called the sit consciousness. What exactly is sit consciousness, and what should we do when we practice it, and what are the benefits?
Well, I think that the group who has actually put it together would be in a better situation to describe it in a more detailed way. But I'll just give an overview of the sit consciousness, which is being actually launched, I think, at the World Summit, Social Development Summit, on November 5th. And so those of you who would like to know it in detail should attend that program. But I think it is a timely initiative. And I think It is timely because its acronym, which is SitCon, a lot of people spend a lot of time in sitcoms, which is they're in their living room looking at these episodes one after the other. But SitCon is something that should be equally appealing. And the acronym actually stands for Soul, Instrument, and Trustee Consciousness. And it is a global experiment to create a shift in the collective human consciousness through the engagement of individuals to have an inner focus on their inner development. This initiative took birth at the CSOC-D here in New York in February 2025, and then it was followed up by two phases. Phase one was a 16-week pilot program in May of 2025, and phase two, a 4-week pilot in September of 2025. And then in October, findings from these two phases were published with the guidance of Dr. Anna Sutton, who is part of this panel. The concept of the initiative is an experiment engaging people at the level of awareness, self-awareness, at the level of attitude, bringing benevolence by removing those infiltrated prejudices and biases, perception and vision, and action to create a collective shift of consciousness, but in particular, with this shift in consciousness, to explore a different domain of coming together collectively from which solutions can emerge. Now, this is done through a daily commitment by individuals to cultivate inner stability and peace. There cannot be peace without stability. So this inner stability and the experience of peace, creating purposeful impact with inner conviction and inner will, and acting with the generosity of spirit to ensure things, words like we've heard today, integrity, integration, inclusion, interbeing, interdependence. So the SitCon project or initiative is actually very closely connected to the Sustainable Development Goals. It is actually grounded in the principles of universality, transformation, and leaving no one behind. And these are the values that underpin the Sustainable Development Agenda in its broader context. So the S, which is for the soul, and answers the question, why our action? The why of our action. And I'd like to pose a question for this, and this question is it possible for every human being to be happy? Is it possible to reaffirm that dignity and worth of the human soul as innate to its being? So this is the universality that I think is necessary. It's not just from the South and the North. It is not just of the East and the West. But universality is the recognition that every soul is a link in the circle of life. And to sustain life through the Sustainable Development Goals, it is crucial to draw on the innate qualities of wisdom, courage, humility, in order to transcend the divisions and to acknowledge the interbeing, interconnection, and interdependence. And then the I is for instrument, and this is the how of our contribution. And I'd like to pose a question here. Is it possible for every human to be healthy? Every human being to be healthy? Is it possible to look at the whole in terms of the well-being of all? And so being this I for instrument is connected to the transformation of the consciousness which is a spiritual phenomenon. It is not a material phenomenon alone, but it is a spiritual phenomenon. And so to be an effective agent for transformational change, the individual, as we've heard from Ambassador, needs to align to the larger purpose that he represents, that he's engaged with, that he's a participant of, that he's an agent for, and see him or herself as an instrument for a higher power, not just of purpose, but of truth, which requires setting aside certain personal egos and desires. And then the T is for trustee, the what of our responsibility. And the question here for me is it possible for every individual to have enough for their basic needs? Is it possible to remove poverty, which Gandhi stated is a violence against humanity? Is it possible to remove hunger, which is a crime against humanity? So the trustee here is connected to the responsibility of leaving no one behind. And this calls for a broadening and deepening of the meaning of what it means to be a trustee of the world's resources, a trustee of how we come together, holding our world in trust in terms of its natural resources and other types of resources, particularly in building our futures together. So this for me is the broader context of the SIT Consciousness Initiative in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, there are practices that we're calling on individuals to do because the collective is made up of individuals. I hope this gives you a glimpse of what the SITCON is.
Absolutely, Sister Gayatri. Thank you so much for putting this beautifully, balancing what the world needs with what practices that individuals can adopt. So inner transformation truly leading to world transformation. So a transformation in consciousness actually resulting in a transformation and accelerating our progress towards the SDGs as well. So this could be a very useful solution that we offer to the world in terms of inner capacity building that is necessary for us at this time. I move on to Gillian now and request Gillian to help us unravel one very important dimension. Just like Sister Gayatri brought up about poverty and hunger, I think your work is a fantastic work that you do on women's safety and something on gender equality. I think this is something that, making spaces safe for women. I know the emphasis that you lay on data to highlight and bring about how we are making progress, or sometimes we are actually sliding backwards. Now, as you work with change makers in this field, what inner preparedness actually helps those who are at the front lines working on making spaces safer for women?
Thank you for the question, Banu. And I really think it's so timely because for the work that we do on a daily basis, it's very stressful. You're dealing with the issue of safety for women. If anybody would feel in this stage, if you wake up in the morning and you, for example, use public transportation in a location where you're not completely comfortable and safe, you begin to tense up. Internally, you tense up. You begin to carry with you tools to help you should something happen. I'll carry a big folder. Is my water bottle in my hand? And so we tend to subconsciously start getting into fight mode, and it becomes part of our personality. You walk into a crowded space. As women, we begin to wonder, should I walk with my elbows out so that nobody comes in my personal space? These are subconscious things that we're doing. And when you work in the space of creating safer public spaces, which is what we at Red Dot Foundation do, and we do it through crowdsourcing information anonymously. Why do we do it anonymously? It's because of the fear of retribution, the fear of, that people won't believe people who report, or you will be mistrusted for it. So that in itself, for somebody to come out and say, hey, I was at X place or Y place, I was at this railway station and I did not feel safe there. So practically what the organization does is it allows anybody to geotag through Google Maps a spot where you felt unsafe. And as more people, should they report in the same spot, the spot gets larger. And we use that data to go to community, to police stations, to government, to anybody who listen, to say in practical terms, something's going on here. You as a community, would you like to fix it? Everything doesn't need to be fixed by institutions or governments. Sometimes it's talking to, your local religious leader who can figure out or talk to people, guide people, settle it down again that way. So if your work in itself is like that, which is what we do, to your core question of how do we prepare ourselves? Because we have to be in a space where we can accept all this information, and information that's coming from people who are angry, hurt, upset, um, already in a heightened emotional state that may not always be a positive emotional state, you know. And so the feedback that comes to us has to be absorbed by us in a manner that is respectful and accurately understanding what has come, but also in self-preservation. So to the point that you said about change makers, how do change makers prepare for something like this? We take information that's come from us at the ground. Let me give you a real life example. I can point out to you a particular location which is unsafe, and I go and speak with a local police station, and I say, look, the community is saying this is unsafe. He doesn't want to believe me because he doesn't want to say that that's actually happening. No, 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 that's not happening. How do I deal with it to make sure it happens? That's on the local ground level. So my response or my preparedness in that is first to find a point of commonality where he doesn't feel that we are pointing fingers at him, because this is an extremely personal experience, but we're not looking for a personal outcome. We're looking for a policy outcome. It may be saying, this corner is dark, put a street light. It's nobody's fault. But if you accept our premise, put the spotlight, everybody will be happier. That's an example of how we would do it at, say, ground level. Now come up to something like the summit. We're all sitting here, we're all in this space, and we would like to share information. The Brahmakumaris today have offered us a very safe space for me to talk about this. I feel safe, I feel calm, and I feel that I can do it. So as a change maker in this space, I come in with knowledge and with data, but also being empathetic and understanding of what is the information that I'm dealing with. That's my personal preparedness. Now come across to putting 20 change makers in the room, like on this call today. All of us have the capacity to make a change. What is it that I bring to the table that would help the 33 of us on call today to be inspired to do something different, to become change makers themselves? And so my preparedness to each of you is to say, find in yourself the confidence to speak something new that you have not spoken today at all. Something new. When I define it as something new, it can be anything. It can be, I ate something new and tried something different, or I saw something that I was not so happy with, but I spoke up about it. So my job as a change maker is to create more change makers in whatever you feel it is. I was part of the pilot project for the sitcom when you started it after the Commission for Social Development in February, and I was very, very inspired by it because I thought you hit on something that I personally was looking for. personal help to grow. And so you were a change maker for me because you helped me change. So for me, it is up, the preparedness level is about how to create more change makers, and in whatever field that may be, because the more we speak up about something that we're not comfortable with, that's the change we want to see. And I believe it was Mahatma Gandhi who said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so I end with that and pass back to you, Bhanu.
Thank you so much, Jillian. It's always been a pleasure. Actually, I've had a chance to volunteer some of my time with the Red Dot Foundation, and working with both you and Elsa. It's always been the feeling that I'm talking to people who are already well prepared internally, right? So I think that spirit of giving back, that spirit of working where nobody's watching, I think is it's not easy, right? In a world where there are flashlights shining on you while you're working, and where you're working in the dark spaces and actually shining a light on people. It's great job that you do. Thank you so much for your inputs. Not the first time we've heard about quoting Gandhiji today. Yes, you're saying something, please.
I just wanted to say that the admiration is mutual, and you and the team give out good energy. So it's not hard to come here and speak honestly, because what we do when no one is watching, that's truth of our own moral fiber. And it's always been a pleasure for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much again. Hannah, we have an in-house or a resident expert who will actually tell us, validate what her findings have been about the SIT consciousness program itself. One of the things that actually we have understood so far is that actually there is value in SIT consciousness. My specific point that probably will unravel some of this in terms of understanding how to make sense of consciousness, but how does it actually translate into action? Now, what does psychology tell us about it? What does your own research tell us? How do I translate my own consciousness into actions that I do, my interactions with people, and so on?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because quite often what goes on in our head doesn't come out in our actions. But what we've found in the program that you've been running and that we've been piloting and evaluating is people are talking about how making these small changes to their everyday lives actually builds up to create some change in terms of how they interact with other people, and how they are more open to people. So what we find is that as people build this sense of awareness of themselves, they come to understand themselves more. They're also more open to other people. And we've heard from some of the other speakers today about that sense of being open-minded, and being open to change and open to other people and reducing our own biases. And that's the sort of things that this practice actually helps people with. So it's really about finding that connection with the meaning that you want to bring to life. What's the meaning in your work, and how are you going to express that with others? So what we find in the psychology research is that really these things take time. It's not that you can do something once and suddenly you are changed and you're going to be the change in the world instantly. It's that we have to build these practices over time, and that it becomes a habit. So we start to approach other people and other situations with a more open spirit, that we're more open to how are people talking to me now, not what is my bias, and do I only see that person in the way I'm expecting to see them. So the psychology research shows us that as we are able to take that moment to really see what's in front of us rather than our expectations of what we think might be in front of us, that we're able to respond to that person more effectively, and that we can then build that change with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Looking at how just being in the present and taking a step back and not being judgmental about or not recollecting past experiences and being biased by them can make so much difference in our interactions. Thank you for that input as well. I know we are running short of time, but I just want to get a quick word from each of you in sort of closing remarks. If we could all have all our panelists on screen and listen to them what they've heard so far and what they would all like us to take away from the session today. Start with Sister Gayatri.
I was very struck by what Anna just said, building change together through a commitment to a long-term practice, to really understand that I'm connecting my action to meaning. And that's what I've taken, and that's what I'd like to leave.
Julia?
I take away with me the generosity of spirit of every single person on this call who have taken time and effort to come here in person and yet do a virtual session. The level of inclusivity that you choose to do is unparalleled. That's what I take.
Thank you so much, Julian. And one example of that is Dr. Anna, who has traveled all the way from New Zealand to be with us. Of course, she's going to be there with us in the stall and every other session. But then, Anna, over to you to share your thoughts.
I think the one thing I'm taking away from this and would like to share with everyone is that connection between the spiritual traditions and psychology, that we're looking for the wisdom where the two connect, and that doing these practices, the research shows us it works. So a takeaway is to try it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Actually, my own takeaway from this meeting is how Honorable Minister Dr. Ashni Singh, His Excellency Mr. Vipul, started off sharing how the world is one family. Literally, we actually have to have a family consciousness, thinking about the world as a family, and everything else actually falls in place after that. And then the work that we can do for a spiritual trajectory in terms of understanding the seeds of our actions, the outcome, starting with awareness, starting with the deep insights that we have with attitudes and vision, and then coming into action. I think all of those have been powerful insights for us to practice, working in places that nobody is seeing and actually shining a light on the needs of the world. I think significant effort that goes in, selflessness and openness, courage to actually make a change and make a commitment, saying that I'm going to do something new today. And then actually having this validation that small acts lead to a long-term change are quite powerful, actually very comforting to know that small acts, as simple as taking a breath, could potentially go a long way in how we respond to people and how we create a better world. It's almost like you start with one breath and then you can make a better world, one breath at a time. Thank you all for your wonderful inputs. We also recognize Honorable Minister, who could not stay with us as we discussed, in spite of their busy schedules. Both him as well as His Excellency Mr. Vipul have provided valuable inputs to us, and of course to the three of you who are with us. Thank you so much for your time. What we would like to do now is we would like to make this a little bit of a co-creation exercise and invite inputs from all our participants today. Our team is actually going to open up the microphones and request all of you to take turns or raise your hand and let us know, and we will unmute you. You can turn on your videos and then ask a question or contribute to the discussion that has happened so far. We would like to compile all of this into a report and also share it with the UN as our experience. Because this is a solution session and we want to encourage everyone to contribute to creating these solutions. We have discussed wonderful solutions and experiences of applying simple techniques. We would like to get inputs from everyone on the call as well. We have 5 minutes to do this. Request our team to open up the mics, and anybody who wants to talk, please raise your hand and let us know and we will unmute you. Or you can even drop a chat message to the moderators and they'll unmute you. Okay, so all of you are allowed to unmute yourself and ask a question. Anyone would like to come forward? Or should I pick one randomly? Anyone? We have a very content, we have a very satisfied group today with us.
Good day. I don't know if
Hi,
am
Lindsay.
I?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, all right. It's Lindy from South Africa, Johannesburg. I am so grateful. I think the most important thing for me is just to see the whole world, talking about community development in this fashion, whereby we are actually recognizing the oneness of all of us. And I think the recent speaker who just spoke about psychology and spirituality mixing, I think there is just none without the other, because everything is actually about that. And what I also liked and I'm taking with me is the meaning, because I always say we all are bringing meaning to the world. And if then we are emphasizing on oneness, it means then it's our task to make sure that we all embrace one meaning, which is love. And with that love, then we are able to do whatever we do from that, So if we all, and I love what our sisters spoke about, how they start by making sure that there is silence, because that silence in every religion, I think, be still and know that you are God. So I think that silence means exactly that I'm taking off being Lindy, I'm taking off being Anusha. I'm just coming in here for the meaning we are all bringing. And thank you very much. I think I really appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate being invited here, and I would love to participate whenever you guys are meeting. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, Lindy. We can feel the passion from South Africa shining through Zoom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We also have opened up chat. So in case you want to drop a question there, you could also put in a question on the chat window as well.
Hello, I'm Sylvia Preston.
Hi, Sylvia.
I just wanted to say we're all participating today because we share these views anyway, because we've been doing it, like me, for a long time. But how do we get more people to listen to us, to build this up? Because otherwise we just stay this perfect little group that thinks the way we all do. I think what we need to do is get it out somewhere, bring more people into this consciousness. How do you think we're going to do this?
Very powerful questions, Sylvia. I would request each of our panelists to take a bite and tell us how do we do it. Sister Gayatri, any inputs?
Perhaps I could start.
Yeah, go on, Anna.
Yes, please.
Yes, that's a great question. And it's something that I'm faced with a lot in my normal work. So most of my research in psychology is with people in secular workplaces where we don't really talk about spirituality, and we don't talk about taking some time, because we're very busy and just got to keep moving. So how do we convince people that taking that moment and taking the time to become more aware of yourself will actually pay off in the end? And the way that I've found works is by just emphasizing that you can do very small things each day. You may have heard that there's quite a big movement to try and incorporate mindfulness at work. And really, that's just about taking that moment to reset and to not react instantly, but to take some time to think about how to respond. And I found that if you can just introduce this to people as a simple act to do, that does tend to build up. And as soon as people notice the effects in their own lives, then they will start understanding it and seeing it as important more generally.
Thank you.
Sister Gayatri, Jillian, would you like to share anything, please? Yeah. Sister Gayatri, go ahead.
I feel that when we're talking about shift in consciousness, we're talking about presence. And I feel that it's not about being an influencer of change, but it's being one who inspires meaning through which change occurs. So how do we get more people to be inspired, I think is the question. And by doing that, it's through presence. So the more I am present in the awareness of looking at others with that eye of appreciation, uplifting their worth, even if it is a person that I'm seeing lying on the street, unconscious, with an alcohol bottle next to him. What presence am I bringing to that person in a state of unconsciousness, consciously, and how do I look at that person to inspire meaning into his or her life? So I think that's how it will happen. It won't happen through long lectures, and it won't happen through convincing and influencing, but it will happen through the presence I bring through my life to other people's life, because inspiring change and building change together is what the world needs from us now.
Banu,
Thank
if
you
I
so much,
may.
Gillian. Yes, please go ahead.
So I want to say to Sylvia, your question had me puzzled for a moment, and I was trying desperately to think, and then I stopped and I said, why am I thinking so hard? Because I'm seeing this action in real life right now. My connection with Sabita, with Banu, with the team, y'all have inspired me to change. So I'm an example of change that has happened. And it has been through the way y'all manage yourselves, the way you interact with others. You inspire me to be more like y'all. So I would say one person at a time, simply by having other people be inspired to be like you.
Great. We start a chain reaction by inspiring each other. That's a good way. It could lead to positive outcomes around the world. Thank you so much for those answers. We also would, I think one of the things is to adopt these practices as early as possible so that we can start experimenting with that, share our experiences, and then see how that spreads around. Thank you so much for all of your inputs. Is there anybody who I may have missed, if they have written a question or a chat? If not, let's start.
Manu, there is a question in the chat that I think is very important. It's from a Chinese teacher, and a cross-cultural teacher, and she's talking about collaboration and dialogue is important. Maybe she'd like to share more on that.
Sure. Can you please unmute yourself and ask the question, or probably share more context? There's also a reference to ESD literature that frequently calls for process of collaboration in order to increase engagement in learning geared to sustainable development. Anybody who is familiar with the literature here could probably help us. Any inputs on collaboration and dialogue and how they are important? Yeah, there you are. Okay. Can someone unmute? I think it's EG.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Li Jie. I'm from China. I'm a Chinese teacher here. I have been to Hong Kong and Taiwan to share our Chinese tradition of Oracle born inscriptions. There were many foreigners there, and they very interested in our Chinese writing. Also, the Chinese Oracle born inscriptions. Yes. So I think if each countries just can take part in some cultural parties every year, that might be amazing. Yeah, because In the ESD, draws attention to two important and often interconnected processes, just collaboration and dialogue. Yeah, so I think it's very important to have the cross-cultural dialogue. It's very important because it's the global nation now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vijay, for your comments. I think what you're referring to is the richness that comes when we actually interact across cultures. It broadens our own perspective. It makes us wiser. It makes us more accommodative of everyone else and their points of view. I think this collaboration and exchange that happens, I think, is definitely very important. I hope I got this right. We absolutely resonate, agree with that. What we also discussed in this session is actually how we are all at a foundational level, very on a very similar base of consciousness, awareness, and as we are all just one family, it's these boundaries that have been created on top of it. So if we could all exchange our views, be more open, I think we remove those unconscious biases that we have within us. Thank you very much for your views.
I just want
now-
to share something that I felt that's got sparked in me listening to Yiji from the Chinese culture. And I think it's not just cross-cultural, but I think it's also intercultural. And the story that Jillian shared of communicating with that policeman and the awareness that she had of him, but the attitude to me was very important that I picked up. She didn't go to him confronting him. She didn't go to him blaming him. She didn't go to him, with that attitude of accountability that you're not doing your job. But she did it with respect. She did it in an awareness that she needed his support, his cooperation. She needed collaboration. And if she didn't engage in a dialogue with those qualities, even though it was within the same, I suppose, community, she wouldn't have gotten him to respond in a way that would help that red spot from getting any bigger, or putting up that light that may have made all the difference. So I think cross-cultural within even cultures, but the attitude that one takes on makes a big difference to look at them with what I call a spiritual equality. And that's why I use the word light, because we're in a season of light here, Diwali, Hanukkah, Christmas, Epiphany. So look at the light and let the light show you what is contained within that light. You don't make a judgment before.
Great. Thank you so much. Wonderful inputs. We are over time by a few minutes, but it is an inspiration that we have received over the years that we definitely end our sessions with a few minutes of meditation. But before that, I hand it over to Sister Nidhi, who will guide us to the closure of this panel discussion. Thank you all to all the panelists and to all the participants for being here and sharing really insightful comments and inputs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhanu, for taking us through this wonderful panel, lovely moderated, and all the distinguished guests who are with us today. And I know we're running short of time, but we have spoken a lot about pausing, having that mindful moment, having that inner reflection, inner shift. So I would invite Sister Karen, who's come from Tampa and who's the program director of Brahma Kumaris there, to just lead us into a beautiful meditation session.
I am an awaking my true essence of soul. I see myself and every other person as a luminous being with innate wisdom, dignity, and infinite potential, far beyond their physical appearance or social labels. This awareness dissolves ego-driven biases and replaces them with pure empathy and understanding, anchoring me in a shared humanity that interconnects me with all souls and fosters a feeling of oneness, seeing others as belonging to one world family. I focus on my light, your light, our light, God's light, heart-warming light, the inner light of enlightened consciousness. As an instrument, I become a purposeful channel for positive change, working for the well-being for all, where my unique talents become gifts offered in service to the greater good rather than personal recognition. This awareness liberates me from the need for applause, allowing my contributions to flow with authentic joy, humility, and meaningful impact. I am a selfless server of the world in a mindful way, knowing that my individual contributions create a ripple effect that can affect every single person throughout the world. I am an effective agent for a higher power to bring about permanent change. A trustee awareness elevates me from owner to steward, embracing the profound responsibility of leaving no one behind. I care for my resources, relationships, and world as sacred trusts rather than personal possessions. I can live simply and peacefully. And this consciousness inspires decisions guarded by the greater good and creates a transformative shift from consuming to giving, and impacts the whole world in a positive way. To empower my inner capacity, I consistently remind myself of these three awarenesses: soul, instrument, and trustee. I create a spiritual trajectory that not only maintains my own inner peace, but makes a purposeful impact on those around me, as well as the world, day by day, and in each and every interaction I encounter. Om Shanti, I am peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen, for leading us into that beautiful journey of going within and seeing ourselves as instruments, trustees, and the one who could bring the inner shift and contribute to the greater good. So I would just like to thank everybody as the session comes to a closure. We found a solution that we could try for ourselves, and as the sit consciousness that we have been talking about, you can see on your screens there is this QR code. If you are planning to just give it a try and let's see what it's all about, I would just invite you to take a scan of it and just give it a try and see how it feels. When you open this, our website would come up, and it's just sit.world/try. And once you see it, you can experience for yourself. So I would like to thank everyone, especially Jillian, Anna, Sister Gayatri, and Bhanu, who are with us here, and everyone who are watching us and joining us across the globe. So thank you to each and everyone, and our esteemed panelists, our guests, especially the minister and the ambassador who join us despite of their busy schedule. So thank you to each and everyone. So let's take a moment of pause and let's have that personal commitment to ourselves to bring that inner shift.
There has been a request for everyone if they could switch on their videos and we'll take a photograph.
Sure.
I don't know if you're able to do that, but if everyone can switch on their cameras and join us. Yeah, if someone can change the view to so that we look all the tiles of people joining from around the world. That's great. We see China, we see South Africa, at least two names familiar now.
Two more than when you started.
Great.
Thank you to each and everyone present today.
Thank you. Bye.